I have known Lafe Taylor for many years. Koby and I are getting to know one another. We're going to learn one another's names here. That's mostly on me. But I don't know, Lafe has been coming, sitting in my office now for years, sitting and talking and producing. He's always coming to my office telling me what he's done, what he and Lamar were doing next, what was next. These guys are great community people. They're over on Georgetown Street. They do everything from working with third to fifth graders, teaching them how to code, teenagers, teaching them how to code. And they do that, a lot of that work on their own time and as a community service. But they have something else for you tonight. They have never been not about making money. And I always like that, and I do. So I want to ask Lafe and Koby to come up, and the presentation tonight is going to be on blockchain. And I am going to let them tell you about it. It has a nice little narrative, so gentlemen, take it away.
Hello everybody, how are you doing? My name is Lafe Taylor. I'm the Chief Design Officer for Fluent, as well as one of the co-founders, and this is
Koby Hastings. I'm the lead software engineer at Fluent. I've worked with Lafe and Lamar for probably 2.5 years now, so they'll probably know Lamar's face, not mine, but I've been with him for a while.
So what I want to talk about is part of how we transition from services into product. And I don't know if any of you remember Field of Dreams, but if you build it, nobody will come. You can build a product all you want, it could be the greatest product on earth, but if you build it, nobody even cares about it until you tell them about it. Or unless you have the right product, you have to find the right product market fit. So we started we started, like I said, doing service work. And service work, if any of you do service work at any level, it can be very tiring. And service work does not scale. And what I mean by scale is you cannot replicate yourself. You can only do so much work, and you can only hire so many people to do that work. So for us, we're in the software, we're in the technology. Service work was not for us. We love our clients, we treat everybody the same, but we realized that it wasn't for us. So we started out building a platform. It was a game platform called FIFA. And it rewarded people with games that played games online. And this was early. Everybody plays a game on their phone now. When we talked to investors in Kentucky, they didn't even know what a mobile game was. So this is how early we were in the market. And we try to pitch it to people, and they couldn't understand the concept of a platform. So we did that, and we failed miserably. We failed so bad we couldn't raise money. I take that back. We did get a grant from the state.
Got a little bit.
We got some money from the state. We tried to produce it. We started going to California and all these different places. In the West Coast, they got it. They understood the technology. We didn't even have to pitch it. It was less than a 5-minute pitch. Here, it took us several hours to describe something that they still didn't understand. So, and what I mean by we failed, once we finally got the product out, because we spent a year in our office building it. We didn't talk to anybody, because we're nerds. We sat in our office and built and built and built. We started adding all these features. I don't know if any of you all make anything, but it's called feature creep. But it's like, oh man, this would be cool. We started adding on all these different things. It's like, oh man, this would be awesome if we had this. So we just kept adding more and more to our platform. And then when we finally talked to customers, they didn't want it. They didn't want it at all. We could even pay them. We were trying to pay customers $1,000 just to use it. They're like, nah, we're good. We're good. So in that process, we learned how to pitch our business. We talked to investors all over. We talked to some investors here. They're not in the room, so I can talk about them. And they were like, yeah, you guys trying to raise money from the West Coast, that's a gamble. It's like winning the lottery. That'll never happen. Anyway, so we're like, okay, whatever. We don't care. We just keep moving. So during this process, we talked to some investors out of California that understood gaming. And we talked to them, and because we were in the gaming, there's a reason why I'm telling this story. Because we were in the gaming, we learned about digitization and tokenization of funds. And that led an investor that asked us, have you ever heard of Bitcoin? And I don't know if any of you ever heard of Bitcoin? Okay. I don't know if any of you showed up to our Bitcoin 101 2 years ago. But yeah. Anyway, so Bitcoin, we heard about that, and it was like, okay, When we first heard about it, it was like, it's not a competitor to us, so we kept moving. And then we started researching, we kept hearing about it. It was like in the early spring of 2013, Bitcoin had a price spike of $232. So it got back in the news, and then we started researching it. Anyway, so during that process, the game platform failed, but we failed in the right direction. Meaning that we failed and we learned from it. Failure is not a bad thing, especially when you're doing a startup business, especially in tech. You're gonna fail. Software goes wrong, ideas don't add up, but you have to fail in the right direction. So we learned a lot from that, and from there we went into what we have called the FIFA wallet. And the reason why this is very significant into where we are today is when we came out with this FIFA wallet, it was a Bitcoin wallet. We were the only ones in the world, we were the only company in the world, it was just Lamar and myself, the only company in the world that was being distributed by Apple. Apple had banned every Bitcoin wallet on the market. There were some before us, they took them off, but we were the only one being distributed because, again, we don't take no for an answer. We figure out a caveat within Apple's protocols and their procedures, and it's like, hey, we can do this. We talked to Apple, they were cool with it, so we were the only one being distributed. That actually helped us gain some attention in the blockchain world, Bitcoin world. Most of you people probably never heard of anybody in that world. It's very nerdy. Yeah, there's no one in there. So anyway, so we were in that space, and because of that, we started traveling to different locations, learning more about blockchain, and because we weren't really the pedigree nerds that everybody's accustomed to, we had different insights into how to utilize the technology. And that utilization actually helped gain us some more investors because, like I said, before we didn't raise any money in this past year, because we started like May of last year. Yeah, we started May of last year after going through 2 accelerators, and since that point we raised $2.5 million to keep going with our product, and we'll probably be raising sometime soon. Anyway, so we went from that to Bitcoin into blockchain, and Koby will take it over from here and talk about what blockchain is and how we use it.
All right, there was a good show of numbers, or a good show of hands on how many people have heard of Bitcoin before. How many people have heard of blockchain technology? Okay, a couple. So blockchain is what underlies Bitcoin. It's the technology under that moves the money, the Bitcoins. And that's what we're utilizing. We don't use Bitcoin on our network, but we use the blockchain technology. And a lot of people look at blockchain as kind of a difficult concept to learn. We've been working on Fluent for 1.5 years. When I visit my parents or I talk to my fiance, they still have no idea what I do. I'll try to explain it. Sometimes I'll just make something up. But we've tried to take a different approach today to kind of give you a basic overview of what blockchain is using previous things that have happened in our lives. So, all right, question, we'll see who can answer it. If you Google history of the United States right now, what website will be the first result? Anybody? Wikipedia. That'll be the first one. There we are. The first 3 results are all from Wikipedia. So now pre-Wikipedia, you wouldn't go to Google. If you wanted to find the history of the United States, you'd probably go to the library and look at the Encyclopedia Britannica. So what does that mean in the scope of this conversation? What's the difference between these two? Well, the boom of the internet is how Wikipedia got to where it was. Internet was probably the biggest technological advancement that we as humans we've ever experienced. Okay, so what Britannica is it's a single source of information. You see here we have people around this encyclopedia, and that's one source of information. So Encyclopedia Britannica has a group of hundreds of people that make those books. They write that information into one single book. If Britannica wasn't there, those users would have no way to get that information. So now, if we look at Wikipedia, Wikipedia is decentralized. So all users can contribute to a particular topic on Wikipedia. So now, if we take that concept of going from centralized to decentralized, we'll now start talking about blockchain technology and the impact it has in financial transactions. So this is a regular banking ledger. I'm sure everyone knows what a ledger looks like. Money goes in, money comes out. This is just somebody's account. And so now let's look at this scope in a different perspective using PayPal. Everybody's heard of PayPal and how that works to transact. So the PayPal model is very similar to the Britannica model. There's one source of truth in the middle, which is PayPal's ledger. That's their databases that store the transactions for all of their users and business accounts. What we call this is siloed. It's like what banks are right now. Fifth Third has their entire ledger of all their business accounts, all of their personal accounts, and it's all siloed. If Fifth Third goes down, all their customers don't have a ledger to reference. So PayPal is that same model. It's a silo. If PayPal's servers go down, there's now no ledgers for all of the PayPal users. So this is where blockchain enters. Blockchain is completely decentralized. So the boxes you see on the screen with the L in it, those represent a ledger that is duplicated across several nodes. Nodes are servers sitting around the world that have a copy of that ledger. And so all of those nodes are connected together. And when new transactions comes in, every single ledger in the network, whether it's up, if it's down, it doesn't matter. There's multiple ledgers that are duplicated and distributed, so there is always truth for the entire network. So if one ledger goes down, it doesn't matter because there's other ledgers up that can send out information to the users that are connected to that network. So that's kind of how blockchain works. It's a decentralized system, and it really eliminates the issue of a single source of failure. So Fluent is that same model. We are the nodes that sit in there. We've built our own blockchain network, and we're going out to banks, buyers, and suppliers and allowing them to transact on this blockchain network. The reason it helps them a lot is because the biggest thing is the trust. You no longer now have a single source of failure. You always have a network that cannot be taken down. So you can imagine the users that are around there, those are your Walmarts or P&G or Fifth Third Bank, JP Morgan. All these different actors in the network can transact on the blockchain. That's it. So that's blockchain. I hope I made it pretty easy.
Did everybody understand that concept?
Yeah. Right at your family.
That'll take too long.
So are there any questions or anything?
When will this become a way of life? That this is just something that, or is it, and we just don't quite know?
You don't know the terminology that we're actually using.
Well, you're not actually using it yet. It'll be, in our eyes, we think it'll be sooner than later. Because again, it's what's called a disruptor, right? Everybody know what a disruptor is. It changes the status quo on how things are run. Because the major benefit of the blockchain is the fact that you can have an immutable ledger, meaning that you can't change the ledger. Each one of those nodes that were shown in the diagrams, they basically verify the other nodes. So if you change like the smallest fraction of a number inside of the blockchain, all the other nodes around the network were point at it as a bad actor. There was like a movie, I forgot what it was, like an alien movie where they saw people that were alien, they're like, ah! and so that's what it does, right? It just points at it like, okay, this is bad, you not to accept anything from this particular node, so it kicks it out of the system. And then also the way our system works is that we identify who those bad actors are. Because one of the issues that you have with some of these other networks that are currently being used for money is the authentication of the users, right? Because like bank ledgers and databases in general are tamper-proof. They're not tamper-proof, as a matter of fact, meaning that if I work somewhere and I just decide I want to change some numbers, I can change numbers and take money out of the system. Whereas the blockchain technology and the ledgers disallow that to happen. Because as soon as that happens, red flags ping everywhere, and it's like, okay, this is not real, this cannot happen. So that's one of the benefits of it, and how soon it'll happen, we're trying to make it happen extremely fast. I'll put it like that.
And I think the first places you'll see it happen are in Fortune 1000 enterprises and very large banks. Almost every bank right now is experimenting with blockchain.
So even from that perspective, you actually won't know that it's happening. Yeah, it's just like email. We always talk about TCP and those things, the stuff behind the internet. Most people don't know what that is. Like, hey, can I get my money? If I get my money, I'm good.
So who are your competitors? Who else is out there in blockchain?
Well, that's a tricky question because we're specifically targeting supply chain finance and suppliers and banks and those kinds of things. So there are other blockchain companies. Hyperledger guys, you have DAH, R3, you have consortiums of different people trying to figure out where these things are. Without going too far into detail and giving up too much, there are people playing with it, but traditional systems, I'll put it like that. Traditional systems, especially in what we're doing, we're tackling something that hasn't been tackled in probably 1,000 years in what we're focusing on. So there are other competitors, but nobody's innovating in those spaces, if that makes sense.
Is that something that you can govern and copyright, keep specific to your company, or?
Yeah, we have some things in the works. We're a startup, so we can't say too much. Any other questions?
It seems like there's security. I don't know, if there are multiple systems that have the same information, so how do you,
Get into this.
and I don't
I
know.
don't know.
So,
Like, that was my first thought, was like, oh, all
Right.
these systems have all this information, security, do multiple
Yeah.
systems.
so these blocks here that represent nodes in the network, those are, we don't just let anyone have a node to see all the information. Those are banks that we're partnering with. So let's say we go out and get ABC Bank as a bank to partner with us. We give them a node to see into the network. And that node, it's just software that runs and it verifies transactions in the network when they come through. So it's not necessarily like you wouldn't be able to go spawn up a node and have your own stuff and change things. The bank, we control who has a node in the network and who can make transactions.
Yeah, and not only that, think about it, I'll always use this analogy, well, I use a lot of analogies. So think about it like your house, right? Everybody in your neighborhood knows that you live in this particular house. But only you can get in the house because you have a key, correct? So this is the same thing. We can all come stare at your house. Of course, you get annoyed by that. Everybody can go look at your house. They can look through the windows, see all the information, say you put your ledger on the outside of the house. But nobody can get in your house and change the information inside of your house except for you because you have the key. So with this, this gets into some real cryptic type stuff, but we use math, basically single you out as a unique identified person, right? Nobody can open these specific things. It's a tamper-proof ledger, meaning nobody can change it. The only people that can change the transaction that enters the system are the people who are assigned to make that transaction. Nobody changes your bank, well, I can say that. You can't change the cash in your pocket unless you reach in your pocket and give it to somebody. Nobody else can do that, right? So it's the same kind of way. You have to have a specific key. It's more specified than your social security number. So unless you have that information, you cannot enter a number into the system. And just because people can view it doesn't mean they can change it. So that's where the security comes in. Meaning that even if you have bad actors within the system, they can't change the truth of the ledger. If that makes sense. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
No, give these guys another hand, please. I'm gonna close the rest of the program by just offering one thing. These guys, all those people on their employee list there, they're most of them are Kentuckians. And we were talking in the back, and one thing that they both said to me, it is important for us to build that here. They may not be getting their funding and that kind of, they may be going all over the United States getting funding. Let us say it was important for them to be here. And I think that that is something that's definitely laudable. I appreciate them being here, and I appreciate the presentation and thank all of you. Bye.